guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Hi, my name is Rosie, and thank you so much for taking a moment out of your busy day to spend a few moments with me. So in today's video, we are going to be making a paper cardstock shadow box. So if you're ready, let's get started. Okay, so in today's video, I am going to be using this collection by Mintay. The name of the collection is Day by Day. I fell in love with Mintay a few years ago, and I only have this one collection, and I have held on to it for a few years because it's just so beautiful that I can't bring myself to use it. But you know what? Today is the day. I bought it for a reason, to create with it, so it's definitely I need to cut into it, but I just hate to. I mean, look at the cardstock alone is absolutely beautiful in the weight, but look at these images. Honestly, I mean, look at this. Is that not so gorgeous? I'm trying to find another one. Look at this one here. I mean, look at this paper. How can I possibly cut into this? But okay, enough about that. I need to get into it. I need to craft with it. Today is the day. So this is the collection that we're going to be using, and let's grab the scoreboard and get started. Okay, so let's get started on creating the base of the shadow box. So what you're going to need is one piece that is 12 by 12, and I would suggest using a heavier weight cardstock. Preferably, I would say in excess of 80 pounds and higher, preferably 110, just because we need it to be really sturdy, right? At least I would like it to be sturdy. So what we're going to do is we're going to make several score marks. So let's put our paper into our scoreboard, and we're going to score at the following score marks. We're going to score at 3/4, 1 1/2, 2 1/4, and 3. And we're going to do that on all 4 sides. So just rotate your page and do it again at 3/4, 1 1/2, 2 1/4, and 3 until you've done all 4 sides. Then we need to do a couple of score marks, but on selected sections. So we'll put our paper back in the scoreboard. And our last score mark was at 3, right? We did it all the way down. What we need to do is go to 3 3/4 and make a score mark, but only up to the second score line. So 3 3/4 up to the second score mark. And then you will do it again at 8 1/4 up to the second score mark. But we're not going to do that on all 4 sides. We're only going to do it on 2. So on the opposite end of where we just did is where we're going to do the next one. So I'm going to do it now on this side. So I'm just going to pick up my paper and rotate it to the opposite side. So now where we just scored up to the second score mark, it's going to be on the bottom of our scoreboard. We're going to do the exact same thing. At 3 3/4, we're going to score up to the second score mark. And then we'll do the same thing at 8 1/4. Score to the second score mark. And that is all the scoring that needs to be done for the shadow box. Okay, so now we have this. Let's go ahead, before we do our cutting, and let's go ahead and just fold on all of the crease marks. Okay, so now that we have basically folded on all of the crease marks, we need to make a few cuts. So let me grab my scissors, and you're going to notice that on each corner you have 4 little boxes, right? We're going to cut all those 4 boxes. So let me cut it first, and then I will show you. Okay, so let me hold this up so you can see that I cut away the 4 little boxes on the corner. So here's the 4 boxes, right? We have 4 little boxes for 4 rows. We're just going to cut those all away. So we'll do that on all 4 sides. Okay, so now we've cut away, let me get this up a little bit closer so you can see that we cut away each of the corners, the 4 little boxes. Okay, so now you should see we made that little score mark, right? Let me grab my scoring tool and hopefully you can see it. We made that little score mark at that 3 3/4 inch mark, and we only scored up to the second score line. We're gonna cut up to that score line. So let me just do that. Okay, so I basically released it, right? Then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna angle to the corner like this. Okay, so we cut up to the second score mark and then we angled up to the corner, and we're gonna do that on 2 of the sides. Okay, so we've done that side, right? Now we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side where we made that mark. So I'm just gonna cut up to the second score mark, right? And then I'm just going to angle to the corner like that. So it kind of looks like a funnel, right? Now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. We're not going to do it to these 2 sides, right? So we're going to do it only to the opposite side. So let's turn it around and then do the exact same thing. Do up to the second score mark and then angle to the corner. Do the same thing on the opposite side and then angle to the corner. Okay, let's get rid of our garbage. So this is what you should have, right? We've angled cut on 2 sides, right? And then the other 2 sides we're not making any cuts. So that makes the actual structure of the shadow box. So now it's time to put it all together. So let me tell you how we're going to do that. Okay, so now that we have our paper looking like this, we need to add some tape. So what we're going to do is we are going to, now you can use any adhesive you want, but just make sure that it really has a strong hold so that your box kind of keeps that shape, if that makes sense. So I'm going to use score tape for this, and I'm just going to add it to each of the end panels. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've added my score tape on all 4 sides, only to the edge, to the last panel on each side. So I'm just going to reinforce that down. Okay, and then let me make sure that I don't have excess tape hanging over the edge, which I always do. I can always just flip the tape over on itself. But, all right, let me just see. I think I have a little bit hanging over the edge on this side and this side. Okay, so here is where we are going to put it together. So you see how we have, right, the parts, the edges that look like a funnel. We're going to fold over these 2 sides last. So we're going to work on the longer sides that are not cut. We're going to work on those first. So let me just do it before I take the paper tape off, right? Let me show you how we're going to kind of fold it over, a little tip on how I make it a little bit simpler and easier for myself. So what we're going to do is we are going to fold over the first two panels. So just like that. So I'm just folding over two panels, right? And then if you fold that over onto itself, that's going to be a perfect alignment for your box. Does that make sense? So it's a lot easier than doing this, and kind of, you know, it's all wonky, if that makes sense. I figured out that if you fold over two panels and then fold over onto itself, that is a perfect placement for how it should go. And then all you need to do is kind of pop it back like this, and there's your side, okay? So let's go ahead and do that first. So let me take off the paper tape. Okay, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is because if you have it a little bit off, when you finish, your box shape is going to look a little bit off. So that's why I mention it. So I took my paper tape off, and now I'm just going to fold it right on top of itself, just like that. And just press really firmly, make sure it adheres really well. And then if you kind of just pop this back into place, there's your side. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the opposite side. So let's take off our paper tape and then fold just two panels, right? So there's a 1, 2, and then I'm just going to fold it right on top of itself, just like that. And then just press really well, and then you can pop it into place. So see, now this is what it should look like, okay? Now for these two sides, this is what's going to give it a perfect alignment over it. So where we cut at an angle, that's what's going to give us our shape. So let's see, again, if I fold over, right, two, I can just push these off to the side for a second while I get this into place. And I can just pop these two out, just like that. So this is what it should look like. It's going to pop open because it's not taped down yet, but I just want to show you kind of what we're going after. Okay? All right, so that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and take our paper tape off. Okay, and then I'm just going to push the two sides out a little bit just while I get myself in position. Oops, sorry, my fingers are sticking to the tape. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. And then just make sure it's down really well, and then these two can go back into place, just making sure that the bottom is good. Okay, let's go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side. Now, it might be popping out just a little bit, and then what we're going to do is just add some reptile glue just to kind of hold it at the corners. So let's go ahead now and do the other side. Okay, so just going to pop this over. Oh my goodness, my fingers. Let me do it this way. I'm just basically rolling it, and there we go. Let me just go on the opposite side. Okay, so now you can see that we have our shape, right? But it might be popping open just a little bit, and that's okay. Let's go ahead and just reinforce our corners with some glue. Okay, so I have my reptile glue. I'm just getting it unstuck. And then if you see a corner kind of popping, just add some glue to the edge. Okay, and then just kind of pop it back into place. There we go. And just kind of hold it until it gets a good kind of stick to it. I'm just going to hold it in place because it's an awkward kind of shape. Okay. Okay, and then just see if there's any other area that needs to be sort of reinforced. So I'm going to reinforce just a little bit over here on this side. Okay, just be patient with it because inside these panels it's hollow, so you got to kind of hold it because it has nothing inside of it to kind of that you can kind of press on, if that makes sense. Okay, so there we have our shadow box. Now this part is completely optional. This is going to be for the acetate top. So if you want to include an acetate top to your shadow box, what you're going to need is a piece of acetate that is 6 by 6, and you're going to do a couple of score marks. So let's go ahead and put it on our scoreboard, and you're going to score at 3/4 as well as 5 1/4. And you're going to do that on all 4 sides. So that's all the scoring that you need to do for the acetate top. Now what we need to do is we need to make a couple of score marks so that we can slip it inside of the box. So let's go ahead and just fold on the creases on all 4 sides. Okay, and the last side. Okay, so now once we have folded on all of our score marks, now we need to do miter cuts on all of the corners. So we're just going to angle cut out the corner box. So each box we're going to cut out like that. Just cut out each corner, small mini box, and then angle the corners like that, and then on this side as well. So let's go ahead and do that on all 4 sides. Don't forget to take off the film on your acetate as well. Now the one that I'm using from Michael's only has it on one side, but some of the acetate have them on both sides, so just remember that when you're working with acetate. Okay, so let me go ahead and just bring in, let me see if I can show you. Okay, so you can see how I angled. I took out the little mini box on the corner and then I just angled my sides. Okay. So now all we need to do is we need to add double-sided tape, strong tape now, because this is acetate on all 4 sides. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've added red tape to all 4 corners. Now what I'll say is that you don't want to put this down just yet. You don't put this down until everything has been completed inside of the shadow box. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just decorate the box, fill my shadow box, get it all decked out with scrapbook paper, and then I will add this to the inside. Let me just see. I'm going to grab another one that I had. I was working on another one, so let me just show you. If we fold it, let's see, just fold it like that. This should be a perfect fit, but it might be slightly different because it's going to depend on how you roll the boxes, because it may have moved just slightly for you, and that's going to throw off the measurements. So this is the measurement for this box, and it should be standard for all, but just know that it could be a hair either bigger or smaller. As well, that's why I didn't give you dimensions on the scrapbook paper, because again, it's going to depend on how your final box was made and the dimensions. Does that make sense? Okay, so that is how we add the acetate top. So now I'm going to go ahead and decorate the other one, get it all nice and pretty, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the final project. Okay guys, so here is the finished project. So I did end up placing in my acetate. You can kind of see it shimmering. And then what I did was, on the inside, I placed some scrapbook paper and matted that with pink cardstock as my background. And then I took one of their 3x4 cut-aparts, added some foam tape to kind of have it rise so it looks like it's floating within the shadow box. And then just fussy cut out a little flower, place that with foam tape as well. And then cut out on my Cricut a pretty flower, and then just added a little enamel dot, a gold enamel dot in the middle of the flower. But there are so many different ways that you can decorate this. I can already see that I'm going to be making a bunch of these because honestly they're so simple, and the different things that you can add are just honestly endless. Now I did end up doing the back as well. On all sides I used pink cardstock as the matting, and then placed my scrapbook paper on top of that and did that on the back as well. So it feels sturdy because I used a heavier cardstock, but certainly we can hang this, think of, and I'm trying to see where I have it. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so I went to my ribbon area and I picked up a couple of these. These are chiffon ribbons. They're made by Paper Studio, and I got them at Hobby Lobby a while ago. But wouldn't this look super pretty as a hanger? Let me just see. It's things like this that kind of like just speak to me. Let's just see. Just as for instance, oh my goodness, something like this as a hanger, wouldn't that be so pretty? But honestly, you don't have to do that. You can have this as a stand-up type of decor. You can place a little hanger so that you can hang it up in your studio. Tons of different ideas that you can do with this, but I definitely wanted to share with you the I'm just rolling this back up as I speak, but I wanted to show you the structure, because from there are just so many things that you can do with it. So let me put this back, and then what I typically do is I will just restaple it so that it's back in its pretty packaging. Okay, there you have it. Alright guys, well that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, please smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you have, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. I really do. And if you could just take that 2 seconds just to hit that like button, that would be awesome. And don't forget to subscribe. Alright guys, until the next time, stay safe, be kind, and keep it creative.